Thank you, and good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Thank you to the organizers for this brilliant conference. We've been taking part in it 3 times, and we are here to stay. So I'm very happy to be allowed to say welcome to this panel. A net zero economy will demand a change in the energy mix, new products, and changes to current industrial processes. And this is where today's topics come in. Green hydrogen is a crucial element in the global energy transition, particularly for decarbonizing hard-to-abate industry, but, and I think this is an important point, also as an energy carrier. I'm brave enough to ask, is it the new queen of energy? As a versatile energy carrier, green hydrogen can be used in industry, transport, heating and electricity generation. Some of these sectors, like steel and shipping, one of the important sectors in Norwegian economy, have few other options due to their share of greenhouse emissions. What you might know is actually that Norway is currently a European leader in green hydrogen with 38.5 megawatt of installed capacity, making it the second largest producer in Europe. We're not going to tell who the first one is. We're going to get there. The capacity is expected to increase to 95 megawatt this year. We're talking almost triple. We think that the Norwegian experience in developing its hydrogen sector can serve as a very good example and serve some very valuable lessons for Latvia, Estonia, and Lithuania. So this year, Norwegian and Latvia partners, many of you present here today, conducted a small study, and it is really small, but that doesn't say anything about the magnitude of it, which we published in March, to draw the lessons from the development of the Norwegian hydrogen sector, highlighting key early stage learnings from our efforts to establish a hydrogen industry from its infancy. We found 3 transferable insights that could inform the hydrogen industry in, among other, Latvia. And I'm going to mention those 3 to you. One is that you have to identify high-value use cases. The second is you have to provide well-designed early-stage support for the entire value chain. We're talking ecosystems. And the third and last one is that you have to ensure a stable regulatory framework to reduce uncertainty. That includes support systems or mechanisms to mitigate risks associated with future carbon cost. Now, the advantages of hydrogen is that it is abundant, renewable, and non-polluting. Challenges related to lack of transportation and storage infrastructure are overcome by countries and companies partnering to build economy of scale. And I have to highlight one of those, I would call it a unicorn examples, which is the hydrogen ecosystems that are now being built and established in Liepāja, centered around the Norwegian company Clean Industrial Solution. It is a unicorn. Gentlemen and ladies, I am going to conclude by saying cost is an obstacle to be overcome. Scale is the goal. But it does take companies and it does take a regulatory framework to get there. And my challenge would be get on the green hydrogen train. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ambassador, for being here and for sharing the Norwegian experience. We all know it's very valuable, so we're happy to have you. So, before we can get into the panel, we need a keynote, right? I'm very happy that the keynotes will be given by Simo Säynevirta from H2 Springboard Ecosystem and member of the board from Hydrogen Cluster in Finland. His keynote will be titled Hydrogen Ecosystem for the Baltic Sea, Learnings from Finland. Please give a warm welcome to Simo.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here, and I work in my day job in a global technology company, ABB. We are actually present in all of the European countries, including being here. But today I'm going to be talking about the case Finland and what we can draw as conclusions from there. And then in the panel discussion, let's expand that view to that what can we together do in the Baltic Sea region in order to build out this opportunity. But I would like to start by kind of a raise hand voting here. In the audience, raise hand if you have it all figured out how hydrogen plays now in context of wind power. Okay, we have a few people raising hands, but we still have people who didn't raise the hands. So let's start with the basics first. So why do we talk about hydrogen in the first place in this context? And it is actually the reason is that if the electricity that we get from renewables, if we could put it in a tank, we wouldn't need to talk about hydrogen. So the current situation is that renewables, wind now here in this region being the primary one, they offer really unlimited clean energy to us. It is the most cost-efficient way of producing electricity, and it can fully replace the fossils. There is only one challenge: you can't put it in a tank. So it is actually something you have to kind of instantaneously use in wherever you need to use it. And now, when wind and sunlight we can't put in a tank, hydrogen we can. That's the role of hydrogen, if you put it in one sentence. But then if you look at it a little bit broader, what we want to do, we want to get rid of using the fossil carbon in the world energy system and world at large. And there now clean hydrogen plays a key bridge role. So we take fresh water, we take clean electricity, we have ample supply of those here in this region. We can produce clean hydrogen. I talk about clean hydrogen in this sense because, of course, this will be green for most parts, so the renewables will be the key source. But for instance, for Finland, we do still have other low carbon sources such as nuclear electricity, which we can equally well use for generating hydrogen. And then when you marry the hydrogen with nitrogen, or then on the other hand, carbon, and in this region particularly we talk about forest industry and biogenic carbon that we have ample supply of, we can produce all those things that we need in the society. So be it now decarbonizing the industrial processes, directly using hydrogen to produce fossil-free steel, for instance, or then having the clean fuels with which we can decarbonize maritime transport or aviation, or then keep the world from having hunger. We still need the fertilizers that actually are key to having the agriculture productivity. And then as a side effect, we get actually flexible energy system. So we can use the storage factors of hydrogen to provide for those things. And in the end, we have a carbon circulating in the system. So Finland is positioned in this context quite nicely. We have three reasons why we believe that Finland is actually a natural starting point for building these hydrogen-empowered value chains. We do have abundant clean resources, applies to this region as a whole. We have the connected critical industries, so forest industry mentioned here, but the industrial heritage is actually very important. We have to create these integrated value chains that create the high value. And then the third piece is the stability and security of the society, which is needed for stability of the projects to be implemented, which then affects the financing cost, for instance, which makes those projects bankable. So those ingredients we do have, and then it results in that we currently have quite a nice pipeline of activity taking place in Finland. This is now a last December updated slide. The numbers are already higher by today, but we are talking about some 10 gigawatts worth of electrolyzer projects, producing up to 1.3 million tons per annum hydrogen, and then investments 25 billion. We have a nice inventory of clean industry projects by our Confederation of Industries, updated. Currently, there are some 270 billion worth of various clean tech investments taking place in Finland. The largest categories are actually wind power, so offshore wind, onshore wind, but then the third largest investment category are hydrogen projects. So it is a booming opportunity. What is nice about those projects is that they are very complementary to each other. So there are various pathways with which you build an integrated value chain. I mentioned already clean steel, but then there are ammonia projects, there are methanol projects, and then we even have technology companies that can produce food protein out of captured CO2 and hydrogen married together. So altogether, that opportunity is rising, and then if you kind of put it in 3 points, then those 3 pillars give us a capability with which we can build Europe's leading hydrogen ecosystem here in this region. And for Finland as a country, what this means is that this becomes a new pillar for the economy. So it will result in a substantial increase in the country's economical activity, so some 30 plus billion per annum at the end of the 2030s added to the economy, and up to 100,000 additional new jobs. Which then leads to that we can as a whole secure a free and industrious Europe. Actually the important point is how do we stay competitive in today's world. It requires us to be capable and innovative, and then when we do that, then it also helps us secure the freedom in this region. And as a second point, I'll give you one concrete example what we are then doing based on these ingredients. Like I mentioned, I come from a company called ABB, Global Technology Leader in power and automation technologies. And we just recently launched a major development program called H2 Springboard, with which we collect an ecosystem together where we can take benefit of this investment environment in these projects going forward, and then advance the technology that is allowing us to create the innovation that then builds that 30 billion annual value add to the economy. And where we start is that if we look at kind of what is the opportunity in Finland, if you summarize it in one number, what is the challenge and what is the opportunity? We have currently wind and solar projects, renewable electricity projects by developers that are asking for connection inquiries to the national grid, worth of 400 gigawatts. So they are waiting for connection to the grid. Currently, the total capacity of electricity production, so including all nuclear, including all water power, including everything that we have for wind, it's a little over 20 gigawatts. So this is 20 times the power that we currently have in the system. And then if let's think for a moment that we just used electricity to take care of this. So we expand our grid so that they can take this power into the system. We have actually very strong electricity networks. So Fingrid has been doing a tremendously good job creating a strong grid, and they've been highly innovative in driving forward. But the best year they have been able to connect something like a 3 gigawatt worth of additional capacity. So if we continued expanding this way, just using electricity, it would take 100 years to build out that opportunity pipeline. So it's obvious that we have to do something differently here. And the difference is that now we are introducing hydrogen as an energy carrier in the system alongside with electricity. And in fact, now our national TSO for gases, Gas Grid Finland, they have been tasked with building out national hydrogen infrastructure by 2030 already. So it's in actually a rapid expansion phase right as we speak. And then when you take into account that one hydrogen pipeline can carry the same amount of energy as you would have in 10 to 15 parallel 400 kilovolt high voltage power lines. This opens up kind of an opportunity for you that you can now very much more rapidly scale the connections. So you would produce kind of hydrogen close to where you have the renewables generation. And then if you need to transport energy, so for instance, we need to take we need hydrogen where we have the biogenic CO2 to produce methanol, for instance. We can use hydrogen as an energy carrier to take it there. But essentially it becomes a totally new system. And in order to make that system work, we need the technologies that actually allow us to balance that. And that's the role of this development program. So we bring together these infrastructure developers, the project developers, as well as the technology companies that then develop the novel solutions. And we have identified the roadmap for competitive hydrogen. The target is to make this commercially viable without subsidies. So it should work without having to ask for taxpayer money to make it viable. And now the key lies in that hydrogen can offer systems level services that then, when they are monetized in the right markets, can help us on one hand balance this balance the volatility that renewables will, based on their nature, inherently have. And then on the other hand, when you do that balancing, you get remunerated for those services that you do. And then by doing so, then if you calculate it to levelized cost of hydrogen, you can reach the situation where this overall system, through these flexibilities, actually is commercially viable. So this is ongoing in Finland, and if some of you now get interested in building collaboration, you can be in touch with us, and we would be happy to explore collaboration opportunities. As a side note, for instance, a grid operator out of Portugal is already part of our ecosystem here, and then we want to take it forward in such a way that in this Baltic Sea region we would build very strong collaboration among the parties. So that's the summary. This is what's going on in Finland, and at this point I think we can move over to talk about a little bit broader. So how could we take the learnings we have from each of the countries, each of the regions, and combine it to something where we can then really show the Baltic Sea way for Europe, how we build secure and prosperous system. So with that, this is the first stage. Thank you for your